Are you ready? Oh, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Let's do this thing, man.
The League Podcast.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? You got Dylan and Jay here with The League Podcast. Today we got sleepers, breakouts, and busts coming to you from J&D Inc. But before anything, go ahead and go check out our brand new website, www.theleaguefantasyfootball.wordpress.com. Again, www.theleaguefantasyfootball.wordpress.com. And on there, you'll find all of our social media like Instagram and Facebook at theleague.podcast and on Twitter at theleaguepod. So we're going to get right into things today, guys, with our sleepers, breakouts, and busts. Jake, why don't you start us off with your sleeper today?
Sounds good, man. It was hard for me to choose. There's quite a few guys that I would definitely take as a sleeper, but someone that I've always been kind of high on, and he's had a rough patch the last couple of years, but this man has made the move from Arizona to now Baltimore, Mr. John Brown. He's spent 4 seasons in Arizona where he's had his ups and downs. In 2015, he caught 65 passes for over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's almost identical to what Brandon Cooks put up this last year. So
yeah, absolutely.
He was a top 10 receiver that year, maybe right outside of the top 10. Unfortunately, in 2016, he got diagnosed with a cyst on his spine and a sickle cell trait where he played only 25 games in his final 2 seasons in Arizona, but only started 11 of those games. So he really missed out on the opportunity because of his injuries, and that really held him back. But I don't think that's going to be the case in Baltimore. He's had a fantastic offseason, nice and healthy, and it looks like he has a beautiful chemistry with Flacco. They've already scored a touchdown in preseason. Obviously, Crabtree's going to be that number 1 receiver, but I think John Brown's going to play in front of Willie Snead and get lots of opportunity because we all know Joe Flacco for his arm strength, his talent to throw the ball like a rocket. He reminds me of Aaron Rodgers in the way he just can sling the rock down the field. And John Brown, not only does he run amazing routes, but he can take the top off any defense, and he's clearly their best deep threat receiver in my opinion. So I really believe John Brown is going to be a weekly flex for you, and possibly by midseason you could be plugging him in at your wide receiver too, depending on injuries and how all that stuff plays out. But he's someone for me that's being taken in rounds 10 or later, even 11th round or later, and why not put him on your bench and take the opportunity with him, because in my opinion he's gonna have maybe not a great amazing season, but he's gonna be able to be consistent and give you, in my opinion, 4 to 6 catches a game with 50 to 75 yards and possibly a touchdown. So the opportunity is there. So I'm high on John Brown, maybe not as high according to my rankings, but I really think that's someone you can take later and really benefit from.
Yeah, I mean he is a He's shown to be risky because of his health issues, Like you said, when he was healthy, he had a great year. But as soon as he came back to life, once he got hurt, it just all spun down from there. So,
but that's my sleeper. I'm telling you, pick him. I mean, draft him. I would draft him. I'm gonna draft him if I get the opportunity. He seems to already always be gone when I want him. But that's my sleeper player. So, what about you? Who's your first sleeper off your list?
So this guy right here, he's a rook. We got a nice young buck who I think, I don't know if I'm gonna draft him. Right now he's actually going mostly undrafted in most drafts. So he's a guy that there's still a couple more weeks of preseason to see what he can do, but he's fighting for that second position. The guy I'm talking about is Christian Kirk from the Arizona Cardinals.
And I mean, sorry to cut you off, but even in Japan, when we were in Japan watching the scouting the combine, you're raving about this guy. So yeah, just to go in depth, you've been loving Christian Kirk well before this season even. He got drafted.
He's a baller. He was a 5-star recruit out of high school, and he obviously had a really good career at Texas A&M. He right now is fighting for that second spot with like Chad Williams, Bryce Butler, but he has shown in preseason that he makes plays, man. People are, quote unquote, comparing him to Odell Beckham. So, I don't know if he's much of an Odell Beckham yet, but if he does even become 80% of that, I mean, he's going to be a solid player. They're already talking about he's going to be that guy filling in as soon as Larry Fitzgerald retires in the next year or two, because he's getting up there in age as well. So I think that Christian Kirk, like I said, is not being drafted right now. So he's someone that could potentially be that first or second week waiver wire pickup that, ends up winning you your league because you can start him on a weekly basis. Last week in his second preseason game against the Saints, he caught 4 or 6 targets for 49 yards and a touchdown. I don't know if you saw that touchdown, but it was beautiful. It was in between a couple players. And, his hand-eye coordination –
top notch.
Yeah,
he
top
seriously,
notch.
and I think he proved that to us in the combine and going through all the drills we watched. He didn't mess up once. Like, he seriously was so on it, caught every pass that I watched him catch, ran great routes, and I think that's just going to transition beautifully into his NFL career.
Yeah, definitely, man. So, guys, if you are running back heavy like me, you like to draft a ton of running backs, then definitely Christian Kirk is one of those late round guys that you can pick up, late in the draft or even after the draft is over, like I said, because we have still a couple weeks of preseason left. But, grab Christian Kirk if you get the opportunity and you are weak at receiver, and, he might reap benefits for you. That's all I got for Christian Kirk today. Guys, please keep your eye out on him because you will not regret it as the season goes on.
I agree.
Might win you the league.
And, I've seen quite a few guys, like Mike Williams, too. Like, there's a lot of these younger guys that are going undrafted that have potential to be huge breakout sleeper players.
And those last picks, that's what you're looking for. Obviously,
totally.
There's not much at the end, so it's either
might as well take a shot.
Yeah, take a
one
shot.
Of these guys. But hey, Dill, I really want to talk about this next guy who years ago, you were extremely high on, and I think this year going into what's going on in this backfield, I think you're high on as well. Why don't you give us a running back player, Dill, that's going to have a breakout year in your opinion?
Well, Rob Kelly is a player that was undrafted out of the Tulane. Undrafted free agent out of Tulane, and he was a nobody, and the only reason he got any opportunity is because of injury. So then he ended up getting hurt after that, and now, the backfield's getting torn apart with injuries again. So Rob Kelly, once again, who's who I'm talking about, and he has a really good opportunity to kind of go off of his rookie year when he had, limited time playing. He started 9 games that year, but he still ended up with 700 yards, 6 touchdowns, and about 4.2 yards per carry. So that's a pretty solid stat line for someone who only played or started in 9 games. So he's starting at running back even with AP coming in, he's still got that job, and it's his to lose. So unless AP comes in and just blows everyone away, AP 5 years ago, which I don't see happening, especially last year watching him play, he was old, to say the least. So Rob Kelly's actually slimmed down. He everyone's calling him Skinny Rob.
He goes
now.
by the term Skinny Rob.
Yeah,
now.
ain't
He used
no
to be
fat
Fat
Rob.
Rob.
So I think that Rob Kelly isn't gonna be a Todd Gurley for you or anything, but he's definitely a guy that you can draft in the 11th round and get running back 2 potential with him. Maybe even borderline running back 1, depending on how consistent he can be and if he could stay healthy. So, there were a couple weeks back in his rookie year that I played him, and he won me the week because of it.
I remember that. He put up crazy numbers. That's when he had a little bit of meat on his bones, but and less injuries and whatnot. But, wow.
Yeah, man. So, Rob Kelly, go get him. I'm drafting him earlier than 11th round. I'm a reacher.
Yeah.
I like to reach for guys I want because if not, that next round,
they won't be round on the turnaround.
That's what's so tough about these fantasy drafts. And I'll say it time and time again. If you want a guy, go get him. But
I hear that.
So Jay, this guy right here that you're talking about today, I'm pretty high on. I drafted him in one of our drafts that we did, and I ended up dropping him because
I saw that.
I'm very unsure about him. So why don't you break it down to us why this guy's going to be your breakout this year?
Absolutely. Well, I got another receiver for you. This breakout player, I was high on last year when he got drafted, and in my opinion, this is his rookie year.
Yeah.
This is his rookie year to show that he's built what he's made for, or whatever we want to call it. This man's name is Mr. John Ross. All right, he was the 9th overall pick in last year's draft. And he's the fastest man recorded in the NFL right now. That's scary. That is a scary sight. Speed kills, all right? If you play Madden, you know that. But anyways, I think what happened last year, and as we know, he had a horrible luck with injuries. He injured his knee and shoulder in college, out of college. He already had these injuries, and they previously required surgery. So coming in this year, or last year I should say, he only played 3 games in his rookie campaign. So that's my point to why I believe this is going to be his prove it rookie year, his real year to shine. Coming into the season, being healthy off season, healthy training camp, and a healthy preseason. And the knee and shoulder now are giving him no issues, which is a huge sign in the right direction. I'm just imagining when he gets the ball in his hands, how much of a terror he can be for defenses with that type of speed. We look at Tyreek Hill, we look at all these guys that have burners and are absolute nightmares for defenses. And I just think that the compliment to A.J. Green and having a run game with Joe Mixon, they're going to be able to just dump it off to John Ross, and he's just going to be able to get these chunk yard gains where he's just burning defenses down the sideline or making quick cuts and doing his thing.
Well, you know what's crazy? Sorry to cut you off, but in college, he was a number 1 receiver. He was a 1,000-yard receiver. Like, he wasn't just that guy that they threw screens to or just threw deep bombs. He made plays. He made nice catches, you know. So
he can run great routes.
Yes, I mean, I love John Ross. It's just he's one of those guys that I said I'm not super confident.
When you can run like that, it's injuries are lingering always, right? So with that being said, though, anybody in the NFL is prone to that. So hopefully John Ross can stay healthy. And if so, you're going to be able to take this guy in 12 rounds or later, 11 to 12th round or later. So with that kind of potential and that offense that could be a sneakily a really high-powered, high-scoring points or a high-scoring offense. Yeah. I think that John Ross could play a pivotal part in that offense's success if he stays healthy. Therefore, that's why John Ross is my breakout player going into this season.
Okay, I like it, Jay,
and there's so many guys to choose from. I was really basing this breakout player on a guy that you can get really late that can break out. There's other guys like I really wanted to do Jordan Howard, you know, but obviously he's going in the top 2 rounds, so that's someone that's we know could have the potential to break out. Definitely. So that's why, we're talking about guys that you can draft way later that are going to have these breakout years that they're going to be drafted within probably the top 5, 6 rounds next year. We'll see.
And what's awesome is if you draft him in these 11 or 12 rounds, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. You know?
Nothing.
Like it's not that huge investment like the 2nd or 3rd round like this guy I'm talking about next that, I like him. Don't get me wrong. He's pretty high up on my board as well, but it's just I'm not drafting him. I'm talking about Mr. Jerick McKinnon on the San Francisco 49ers. He is my running back 15 actually. So he's almost, a running back 1 in my opinion, but what I'm nervous about is he's already hurt. He's already hurt. He's never shown that he can carry an entire offense, an entire load, which I don't think he's going to do here anyways, and that's my point is you're drafting this guy to be an every down player. You're drafting this position to consistently give you points every single week. And I just don't see Jerick McKinnon being that guy getting 20 carries a game. He might get 5-6 catches with 50 yards and a touchdown from receiving, which is awesome in PPR. And PPR obviously is a lot more valuable than he is in standard. And I think that someone that you can get at a way later price is Matt Breida. His backup, who, everyone keeps comparing Kyle Shanahan's offense with Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman 1-2 punch type of deal. And I don't see Jerick McKinnon being as talented as Devontae Freeman, in my opinion. Last year he had a couple big games where he just looked amazing, electrifying, where you actually had him and traded him for a pretty good price. And as soon as you got rid of him, I mean, his stats definitely shot down a little bit.
And that just goes to show how a fantasy champion operates right there, okay? You sell high on guys who are coming off 2 to 3 weeks of absolutely crazy fantasy points and consistency because there's no way that's going to last.
No, and then it shows with this guy. Like
exactly.
Now he got this huge contract for those few games and he showed that he can play. But it's already worrisome, like I said, that he's hurt, and I'm not wasting a 3rd round picks in the beginning of the 3rd round when I can get elite receivers or even a running back, maybe Jordan Howard. I mean, I know he's going more in the 2nd round, but it's more of maybe like a Joe Mixon or Jerick McKinnon. I'm taking Joe Mixon all day over Jerick McKinnon,
without a doubt. I'm actually. It's funny you say this because I've not been high on Jerick McKinnon, but I've not been low on Jerick McKinnon. I've been right in the middle. Yet every single draft that we do, every mock draft, every actual draft we do, I'm steering away from him because there's other guys that I'd rather have on my team in that same ADP, and all the points that you brought up are reasons why I don't know if I can trust him to be an RB2 or possibly even an RB1, which people are doing. You know, like if they draft a receiver, and then if when's he get taken? The end of the second or third, beginning of the third.
Yep.
So if they take another receiver again, or their second pick is possibly Jerick McKinnon as their number one running back.
In our 14-team league that we did, he's a second-round pick.
Which means he's a number one running back on someone's team, which there's other guys out there that can fill a number one position in your fantasy team that will succeed and
Rob Kelly. You know?
That has a better route to succeed than Jerick McKinnon. So are you thinking that by the end of the year, Rob Kelly will have a better year than Jerick McKinnon? That's a stretch.
I can't say that because, man, it's just tough. I would rather have Rob Kelly on my team than Jerick McKinnon. I'll put it that way. You know,
value-wise, why not?
Way better.
Yeah.
Way better, you know. But Jerick McKinnon could be a top, 15 running back. You know, I have him ranked 15th on my board, but it just all depends on volume and health.
Totally.
So,
absolutely, man. That's I really like that bust. My bust is a little lower down.
And yours is... He's been your boy.
Seriously, that's why I had to go with
3 years. He's been in the NFL, and he's done nothing but let you down time and time again. And you just keep giving him
because
more and more chances. It's like, come on, how many times do they have to cheat on you before you realize you got to leave him?
I know. Well, this man, Devontae Parker, Miami Dolphins. He shows so many great flashes of unbelievable talent. And it seems to be he does that every time he's not in my fantasy lineup. So that's why I have huge problems with Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams. I have no problems with Devontae Adams. This is with Devontae Parker. My biggest problem with Devontae Parker is I was actually pretty high on him coming into this year with the Jarvis Landry trade. I was like, wow, this once again. I want Devontae Parker again, but. Now, coming into this season, they added Albert Wilson to that offense. I mean, not that Frank Gore is going to have anything to do with any other targets. That's not going to go to him. But they added some other weapons in that offense. Now, Devontae Parker.
Amendola.
Oh, my gosh. Not even to mention Danny A. So, Danny A in that offense, too. They have other receivers. And also, there's a guy named Jakeem Grant, who I love in that offense since last year. This man is... Tyreek Hill 2.0. He gets the ball in his hand, and every time I jump out of my chair because I'm like, oh my gosh, what's he going to do? Like, thinking he's taking it to the house. So they have other receivers, and also Devontae Parker broke his finger. Devontae Parker is not going to play all of preseason. Once again, another injury. He's had ankle injuries, shoulder injuries, now a broken finger, which it's a broken finger, but he's a wide receiver in the NFL. So, mind you, they're going to sit him out preseason. He's going to be ready, I'm sure, by regular season.
No chemistry.
But we're talking now, not only no chemistry, but he hasn't played all of preseason, so he's going to be maybe a little rusty. And on top of that, he catches the ball with his hands and his fingers. We're talking about a possible injury that's going to linger with him the rest of the year.
Especially if he rushes.
I see drop passes in his future, in this year. And there's just a lot of reasons why this year it's hard for me to want to go draft him. On top of that, Albert Wilson. Watching him play this preseason, I mean, they're getting ways in that offense to get Albert Wilson the ball, and he's looking really, really good. Ridiculous,
he's playing all three receiver positions.
Yep, they're moving him all around. They paid him decent money.
Yeah.
And Devontae Parker's hurt, and Kenny Stills also had an injury this preseason as well. So really, who could be stepping up isn't Albert Wilson, or a Danny Amendola, who could be a PPR monster in that offense, honestly. But in my opinion, I've just had too many bad seasons with Devontae Parker. I was higher on him this year too because of Jarvis leaving, but because of all the other stuff going on, that's just someone that I'm going to stay away from this year. And I just don't feel like he's going to have that breakout year that he was supposed to have this year. I think he's going to be a bust, and I would recommend probably not having him or drafting him. I think there's a lot more players around that same ADP that you can end up with that would be a more valuable pick at that position. So
definitely. I mean, you hit that nail on the head, like we like to say.
But you know what's going to happen? Devontae Parker's going to have a career year, and it's going to be the 1 year I don't have him on my team. But honestly, I think how these dominoes are falling, I just don't see that in his future, unfortunately. But I do think there are some other players in that Dolphins offense that could succeed. So
yeah, and once again, it's all dependent upon Ryan Tannehill and how he plays this year.
Totally.
And if he can stay healthy, he's proven to be a pretty decent quarterback. But
we've all seen his flashes, you
Yeah.
know, and just it's sad that how injuries can really just take a toll on somebody. And he's been working his ass off. Like, he's been working so hard in off season. He's, like I said, he was primed for that breakout year, but oh man, it's just those injuries will catch you, you know.
they will catch you, and you know,
He hasn't played with Ryan Tannehill. We talked about chemistry already. Ryan Tannehill was out all season last year,
Yeah.
missing all preseason with Devontae Parker now this year. Scary. It's a scary situation.
It is, you know. And speaking of injuries, it's the scariest weekend of preseason, week 3.
Oh,
they call
no.
it dress rehearsal week,
no.
where you prepare for the season and you get pretty much your most reps as the starters to prepare. And so, you know, most people will wait until after this week to draft because of that reason. And so, you know, best of luck to everyone out there. Hopefully we get tons of injury-free games and
Absolutely.
we don't have to be on a pod next week talking about how this weekend was full of injuries of top players in the NFL.
Hallelujah. In the
So-
third week, this cannot happen. Come on, team. Sit all your starters. They got enough. They
Todd
got 2
Gurley?
weeks.
He ain't playing preseason.
Yeah, they're
He's
smart.
dead, you know.
All the starters, I'm
Yeah.
sure, for the Rams.
Last week, no starters. I mean,
That's
week one,
that's how
barely any.
teams should operate, because this is that week that's just scary. But let's not even put that in
No.
the world. So best of luck. We got a full jam-packed weekend of football. It feels like football weekend
It
here.
is right.
It is right around the corner.
I
But
cannot.
we got
wait.
a lot of great matchups. So hopefully, like you said, there's no injuries, and we can just watch great matchups and hopefully see more guys that could potentially be bust breakouts, sleepers, all that good stuff. But I had a blast, like always,
Me
Dill.
too. Yeah, definitely. And guys, go check out our website, www.theleaguefantasyfootball.wordpress.com. It's got all of our social media on there. It's going to have our podcast posted on there as well. Check out our Instagram and Facebook at theleague.podcast and on Twitter at theleague. Show us some support. Show us some love. Send us some questions. You know, we want to interact with you guys. So let us know what you're looking to hear, and we'll give you the goods. We'll give you the goods. You know, I'm already sending some of my rankings out, sending people to our website to check out our rankings, which are now posted. So please go check out Jay's rankings and D's rankings.
That's right.
And compare and contrast. Let us know what you think about it.
Yep, top 200, and you can base your draft according to that. You can use our draft list and check them off as you go. But take a look, like Dill said, go to our new website. It's awesome. We're going to be adding more content on there daily. We're ready. And also check out our social medias, because we're posting all types of cool stuff. And we want to interact, so hit us up. But all right, Dill, been a blast.
All right, take
Can't
care.
wait for this weekend. Over and out.
What did I do? What did I do? The league, huh?